We're driving a Hyundai Palisade. It is a 3-row mid-size SUV. Coming up, we're going to tell you how the Palisade can help you scare the out of your spouse. But let's begin with interior.
I'm very impressed by the materials chosen and how they all go together. Very interesting pattern on the door and this shiny black plastic that is dressed up with stripes, so it makes it more difficult to see the fingerprints and dust.
By the way, we're driving the Calligraphy trim, which is the fanciest rendition of Palisade, which explains why we've got these Napa leather seats, and it's going to look a little bit nicer than maybe some of the more mainstream trims. But the general gist here is classy but very functional. Let's talk about that function. Down here we've got a little storage area below the console, the cool flip-out cup holders, and when you do it with a metal cup like this, it sounds kind of cool.
And if you're not drinking a beverage and you just need extra storage, they slide away.
And here we've got a very deep center console area. One bit of a disappointment is the door storage. It's just not very useful. At least if you're a guy who wants to put a beverage in there. I'm that guy. I'm talking about myself.
There's a giant sauce pocket. You could have a lot of sauces in here.
Oh, for your second row Nug fans. As far as general layout, it's very easy just to step right in and know how everything funks in the Funks? Well, no, funks is good. Hey. Functions. Now, how about seat comfort? How are you finding that?
This is very comfortable. If you're with a speedy driver on a curvy mountain road, you'll really appreciate this bolstering.
And I appreciate the fact that there's a real lack of pressure points. We're also driving, again, highest trim, and so we've got the Ergo Motion seats, which uses these little like inflatable bladders to activate a massage function.
I don't think we have that.
Oh, well, sorry about that. I'm enjoying it very much. Ooh, it's lifting my left buttock.
Aw.
It really is too.
That's my job.
Whoa. The Palisade will seat up to 8 occupants. We've got the 7-seat version with the second row captain's chairs. In the second row, those seats slide and recline to a great degree, so very easy to find a comfortable position. You've got little flip down, adjustable height inboard armrests. Now, kiddo, how do you find getting in and out of this vehicle?
I find it pretty easy. I think it's because it's kind of like low.
Well, what about getting into the third row? Anything make that easy?
There's a wide space in the middle.
Oh yeah, you can walk right down between the front seats, and then also there's a button you can push that makes the second row slide forward out of the way. Were you able to get the second row out of the way pretty easily?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a kid-friendly feature if you want to get the kids in the third row, though you will need an adult to put it back into its standard position. Now, I find getting into the third row pretty darn easy, too. And then once back there, even seated behind my ideal second row position, I find there's just enough clearance for my knees. My head clears, too. I would be willing to sit back there.
Especially because it comes with seat heaters, which we rarely see in the third row.
You also have a power recline function in the third row here, so you're not in too vertical a position.
Another thing I like about getting to the third row, there are little pouches on the side of the second row captain's chairs. So you have a place to put objects that doesn't impede access to the third row.
That does remind me too, there's also a little grab handle. So if you're trying to climb your way into or out of the third row, there's a place where you can put your adorable little kiddo hand. To help keep the backseat passengers happy, there are standard USB ports in the second row. If you want USB ports in the third row, you have to go to the higher trims. Now, for cargo space, there are 18 cubic feet available behind the third row. That's about 3 cubic feet less than, let's say, the Toyota Grand Highlander, but still plenty of space. And then also that underfloor area generously sized.
I was really impressed by that.
If you've got secrets, and I bet you do, I'm looking at you, that's where you can store them. So in this trim, we've got the power folding third row seats, very easy, push a button, they fold right down, and then we even have second row releases from the cargo area. So if you want a big, open, flat cargo area, it happens very quickly with very little effort. The Palisade rear driving also has the optional smart lift gate, where if you have the key in your pocket or if you're just dangling it from your adorable little kiddo hand, it will automatically open after 3 seconds. Any issues with getting the booster seat installed?
The latch points are exposed, so it was simple to install the booster.
And I think there's more than enough space fore and aft with adjustment for the second row that you could pretty easily fit a rear-facing car seat if you wanted to. Quick Ergo Motion update, my right buttock is now being lifted. Also, is that the right singular language for like just one cheek? I know there's the buttocks, but is it a buttock?
Tell us in the comments.
Lefty's involved now, okay. As for safety, strangely there's no overall rating from the NHTSA, but it is 5-star rated for front impact. When you go to the IIHS, it is a top safety pick plus. The standard Palisade suite of driver assist includes lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking with bicyclist and pedestrian detection. Blind spot warning also comes standard, as do 9 airbags, plus full speed adaptive cruise control. Also a feature called Safe Exit Assist, which will warn you if a vehicle is coming up behind you and you're trying to exit the vehicle. Family, what do we think? Is the Hyundai Palisade family friendly?
Family friendly.
Yay, family friendly.
Family friendly. Rear window test. All the way down, boop. Armrest test. Driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, I can touch the armrest, but I wish they were a little bit more inboard for easier access. There's a little bit of stitching on the inboard here. I wish that was a smooth area, and then outside is definitely smoother. I'm gonna go 80% outboard, 75% inboard. Hey, would you like to see more videos like this where we review cars as a family, plus the occasional helicopter adventure? If you would, you're welcome to subscribe, and if you like what we're doing a lot, you're also welcome to join our channel. Moving onward to style.
This is handsomely styled. I like the deep sculpting along the sides, but my favorite bit is the grille in that, what is that, like a satin nickel finish?
Sure.
It's a unique touch that I haven't seen on a lot of other vehicles.
When they first introduced the Palisade, this is what it looked like, and that was a pretty big stylistic swing. This is the recently refreshed model introduced for 2023, and somehow they've taken a distinct design and evolved it, I think, in an eye-pleasing way that I also recognize might be a little polarizing. But the grille treatment is really interesting. We talked about this in a video not that long ago, where the things that look like the headlights aren't the headlights, and they've taken that concept and gone even further with it. Speaking of style, if you'd appreciate stylish eyewear that's also extremely functional, consider Flying Eyes Eyewear. We tossed these out of our helicopter and they survived just fine. Click the link in the description below. You can learn all about why they're so incredibly durable, flexible, and comfortable. And if you use the promo code Micah, you can save 10%. Flying Eyes. Regardless of how you feel about the Palisade style, I like the fact that Hyundai is pushing the stylistic boundaries in a category that not too many years ago had some fairly boring looking entries, and this is not boring. It will not be ignored. Another thing we won't ignore are the scratches on the door handle. When I walked up, the very first thing I was like, well, better take a picture of that. Don't want them thinking that I scratched the door handle. And then I saw that all the door handles had scratches on it. So if you buy a Palisade Calligraphy, be sure to wear gloves everywhere, like a dowager or jewel thief. What do you think of the Hyundai Palisade style? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments section. Moving onward to In Motion. Driving the Palisade, I find a pleasing and plush ride quality. It does nice things for long drives, and even here on our mountain roads, which sometimes have bumps because of all the winter damage. This is not an exciting vehicle to drive, but they've got a nice balanced steering ratio. We always talk about if you're not thinking about it, it's doing its job for this category of vehicle, and I think that is the overwhelming sense I get driving the Hyundai Palisade. Now to counter that, I'm gonna floor it. Whee! Took a moment for me to get that downshift, but once it comes in, acceleration is reasonable. At other times though, I just don't think about what the 8-speed automatic transmission is doing, so shift quality is smooth and it's usually in the correct gear. So we've got a variety of drive modes. None of them include off-road. The intention of the vehicle really is on-road or maybe light dirt trails, that kind of thing. But for us, where we live up here in the mountains where we do indeed get snow, having 7.9 inches of ground clearance, that's a reasonable amount of ground clearance. We do have a dedicated snow mode, which should make it easier when the roads start to get slippery.
And we have this lock button, whatever that does.
It evenly apportions torque between the front and rear tires, but it's not like a true locking center differential like you'd have in a Geländewagen. And yes, I took German in high school. That's why I can say wagon instead of wagon and have some authority on it.
Gotta show it off sometime.
Do you know how useless German is when you live in California?
Aww.
All right, before I start dishing out phrases like Porsche Doppelkupplungsgetriebe, let's see what Evie thinks about driving the Palisade. Evie's at the wheel, she's pulling away, and how did you feel as you were moving that? Do you feel like it's pretty easy to steer the thing?
I do. It feels quite maneuverable.
Let's switch it over here from comfort mode into sport mode.
It feels like the gauge cluster wants me to have a good time.
What?
You know, it gets sporty looking.
Okay. Is there a graphic I can't see from this
Whoa.
angle? Like, wow. Now, you and I are a very different height. Did you find it easy to get into a comfortable seating position? You feel like you got command of the vehicle?
I did, and the seats are highly adjustable.
If there's nobody behind us, come to a complete stop and floor it. Whee! How's that power off the line?
It was strong. Very confidence-inspiring.
Do you feel like you've got a sense of the vehicle's size around you?
That is one challenge I did have driving this around. I think it's difficult to tell where the edges of the vehicle are. The hood feels like it kind of drops away and I can't tell where it ends.
Last question, what about visibility?
Over my right shoulder, that seat pillar is very thick, and it makes me grateful that this comes standard with blind spot warning. Over my left shoulder though, I can see clearly.
If you were in the market for a 3-row mid-size SUV, would you feel comfortable driving this?
Absolutely.
Awesome, I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Overall, I think we've got a very well-rounded driving SUV. Let's move on to remarks. Remark number 1, we have a 12.3-inch screen. This is standard on all Palisades.
It's a very intuitively laid out system. And I appreciate that you can either use it as a touch screen, almost everything you need is in there, or they also have these physical buttons down here.
The version we're driving has the optional 360-degree camera system, and it offers clear views around the vehicle. Over here, I've got a digital gauge cluster, and I do like that when you go into the different drive modes, it gives you those little animations. Sport mode seems very exciting based on what I'm seeing in the gauge cluster.
I really appreciate that when you put the turn signal on, you get a view down the side of your vehicle.
Now, in the beginning of the video, I teased that the Hyundai Palisade can help you scare the hell out of your spouse. How? Let's go over here to voice memos and just see what we got playing here.
Note, tell Micah that I'm pregnant.
Not true.
Not true, but that is a really great way to freak out your spouse. Question, would you actually use the voice memo functionality of the Palisade if you had the vehicle?
There are times where I'm driving and I think I need to write this down immediately. Maybe I would use it.
Note, movie idea. Smurfs in a Quentin Tarantino-esque murder mystery. Don't you steal it.
What if there's a movie maker that rents this next?
Oh, that's a good question. Quentin Tarantino.
What about Wes Anderson and the Gummy Bear franchise?
If it's intellectual property, it's waiting to be exploited. 3 more features we should quickly point out. We've got a quiet mode, which only sends audio to the front speaker, so if you got kids sleeping in the back, that will help them continue to sleep and not bother you. Passenger talk, which amplifies the driver's voice to those in the back, so if there was somebody in the 3rd row, they could hear this annoying nasally voice. Hello, child.
Hi.
And then this particular Palisade is equipped with smart parking assist. So if you have a very narrow parking spot, you can remotely move the vehicle into and out of that spot. It's so easy a child could do it. Speaking of child, kiddo, it's now your time to shine. Tell us, what is your favorite feature in the Hyundai Palisade?
My favorite feature is the magenta light on the door and on the front.
If you asked me on a color wheel to point to magenta, I don't think I could, so I really like that that was your call out. And that was Kiddo's favorite feature. All right, let's talk engine choices. The only engine offered is a 3.8-liter V6 with an 8-speed automatic transmission. If you want to tell, it maxes out at 5,000 pounds, and I do wish there was a hybrid option, but there is not. Sweetie,
Yeah,
can I give you a trim recommendation?
you sure can.
Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. The base Palisade SE trim comes with Smart Key access, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and most of the essentials. However, if you go up 1 trim level to the SEL, it only adds $3,000, but it brings a bunch of welcome features like dual-zone climate control, 2nd row HVAC controls, heated power front seats, faux leather seating, LED taillights, and a hands-free smart liftgate. Based on price and feature set, we'd recommend going with that SEL trim for $38,900. And if you're ready to buy a Hyundai Palisade of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below to learn what your current car is worth and how much you should spend on a Palisade. For 2024, there aren't any significant updates, just a few minor feature changes and a new calligraphy night trim with dark design elements. As for competitors, a few key names are the Kia Telluride, Honda Pilot, and the Toyota Grand Highlander. And if you're curious what we thought about the Toyota Grand Highlander, you can click right up here. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. Synopsis! In thinking about the essence of the Hyundai Palisade, it is functional and priced right with a touch of class. To me, it is that Kleenex box that's got the nice design on the outside of 3-row midsize SUVs.
It's an up and up box.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Does it have Kleenex in it?
No, it has tissues in it.
You're afraid you're going to get sued by the Kleenex people?
Yes, they know things.
I bet they do. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Hyundai Palisade. May I have a 5 and a 5 and you? Come get your high five. Bam!